my first client was a man actually over here on holiday to come and see his brother. Had never heard of spinal flow, but noticed a big change in the way his brother was able to walk, because he had had surgery on his back, and he's got put together with plates and screws and all the rest of it. So he's in the winter finds it very, very hard to move because it all freezes up. So he noticed a big difference in him and asked what it was about. So he said that he had been coming to Spinal Flow. So he said, well, you better take me down and see what that's about. So turns out he was put into early retirement through a major concussion that he'd had, which really, really debilitated his life and kind of took over his life. So we found it really, really hard to do anything. He was having trouble just getting up if he'd been sitting down, and especially after being in bed all night, he'd get up in the morning and it was a bit of a three-step process. So he'd wake up and have to lay there for a couple of minutes, and then he'd set himself up against a wall couple of minutes, and then he'd be able to stand up, but he'd have to have something supporting him, otherwise he'd feel quite dizzy and fall over. So that was his major thing that he came for. And after the very first session that he had, he just got up the next morning and just walked out into the kitchen. And then he sort of thought about it, and he went, wow, I have never done that since the concussion. So he said to his brother, you better take me back down there. So in the 3 weeks that he was here, he had 17 sessions. He absolutely loved it. And I found out later that he had actually had a shoulder injury 50 years prior, and he was never able to lift his shoulder up above his chest height. And he was able to. He's now lifting weights. He's not heavy weights, but up to 4 kilos. And he's walking every day, and he's had absolutely no vertigo or dizziness or anything like that since he had spinal flow. So he's as blown away as I am, because I was like, wow, he had so much going on in his body. So he's actually, when he comes back for a holiday, he will be coming in again to see what else we can do. But yeah, absolutely amazing, the difference in his body. And yes, he's gone home and told everybody all about it. And yeah, it's absolutely amazing.
It's so amazing, isn't it? Because I don't think we realize. I think that what happens is it might be that, we've had a little bit of trauma, or it could be physical stress or chemical stress and emotional stress, and the body creates a blockage. And
Yeah.
often we don't even know about it, but we keep going through life, and the body might speak to us. And often the body speaks to us by, whispering like, hey, I'm not okay, or hey, and we're so busy that we don't listen to it. And slowly over time, the whispers become little screams, and they become a little bit more. And then we can go, but what happened? I didn't do anything today. Where that initial blockage or that initial stress that's stored in the spine, it can be physical stress with, an injury or trauma, but with plates and screws and all the stuff that's happened, or it can be still emotional, chemical. But what happens is, if that's still in the body, and it actually stops the nerve supply coming from the brain and the body, it interferes with the structure, it interferes with the function, and then it can be years and years going, I've got insomnia and I've got vertigo and I can't do this. And a lot of people can be sitting there going, but I didn't do anything, as opposed to that's been in the body for a really long time. And then the body says, okay, enough. And how good that he's just like, and also sometimes it takes trust, like the fact that his brothers said, come. And then everything changes in their world because with us as spinal flow practitioners, what we do is we look to release blockages from the spine. We look to increase flow. When there's more flow, there's less blockages, less stress in the body comes and does what it needs to do. The messages from the brain comes out to the spine, to the organs, everywhere that needs to do for healing to happen. And changes happen, which is really cool.
Yeah, it's massive. And, I have found with clients, because a lot of people have stress around trust. So once they trust in the body and the wisdom of healing, the healing is massive. And it seems to be some people straight away, and other people have a few sessions and then get to a point and you're like, there it is. And then it's just massive, like their body just has a massive change. You can feel it and they can feel it. It's so cool.
But it's so hard though, because I understand what people feel like. Like, it's really hard to trust your body when you feel like your body's letting you down. If you feel
Yes.
like you're in pain, or you're not sleeping, or you're not digesting, you can actually feel like, well, I don't trust my body. It's not doing what it needs to do, as opposed to, hey, my body's doing everything it needs. I've had so much stress and trauma that this is actually makes sense that it's going, but we're not told that. That's kind of like when we're born, we should be given a rule book of this is what your body does, and this is what it says, and this is how it communicates. But we don't know that, and we can think that our body's failing us, but actually sometimes it stops us moving to actually stop us moving for protection, because it's saying, hey, I'm going to hold you together so you are safe.
Yes, yes, it's amazing, isn't it? And it can take a long time to actually trust your body. As funny as that sounds, but if you think about it, you really need to think about whether you do have trust in yourself and in your body. And when you do, then the healing is massive. I mean, healing happens anyway, lifting off the layers until it gets you to that place. But once it does happen, it's huge. And it's something you can't sort of explain to people until it does happen. And then you can have that conversation. It's just massive.
Something happens, for what we do is we put a contact on the access point that puts more flow into the system to decrease blockages. And that happens no matter what. Like, you lie on the table, that's what happens there. It's actually turning the body from a fight flight response into a rest, digest, and heal. And just by it kind of works with working on what works with the body. So many modalities and so many people work with what's broken. We find that area that's already working. Where is there already ease? We show the brain, we talk directly to the brain. So the brain goes, oh, I can create more ease, and more growth happens, and more openness for healing to happen, which is what I love, because it's working a little bit opposite. It's like, we get there's stress and trauma, but there's also ease. Let's grow that.